All right, so I'm Josh,
I'm Beth.
and obviously we're with the filmmakers for the LJMU Film Festival. So I'm just going to say the order it is on my screen is Tilly, Raven, Olivia, Netta. I hope I pronounced your names right, by the way. Yuran, Ben, and Gustav. So if you want to just go through, introduce yourself and your film, like where you are and stuff like that, that'd be great.
Okay. Hi, I'm Tilly. I'm a filmmaker originally from Nottingham in the UK, but I'm based in London at the moment. My film is called Family Jewels. I made it when I was at uni a couple of years ago, well, last year, at UCA Farnham studying animation. It's the story of my kind of family's history with jewellery, going based around a conversation I had with my mum and my gran, kind of going through a few favourite pieces of their jewellery and getting into the background and stories behind them. Yeah.
Cool.
Raven.
Yeah. Hi. I'm Raven. It just my Chinese name is Ling Ge. It just is really hard for everyone to pronounce. So just call me Raven. I'm the filmmaker of the film Hold Me. If you can see and remember this shot. So this is a very personal film which tells about my coming out experience with my mom in the summer of 2019. Oh my God, that feels so long time ago. Yeah. So I'm original from China and I graduated from RIT last year. And now I'm just, trying to get jobs and experience and step into the stop motion industry in the past few months. So my film contains a lot of mixed media. I use like pixelation, stop motion, 2D animation, and all stuff like that. I guess, yeah, that's pretty much of it. So I'm so glad to join the festival. Yeah.
Cheers. Okay, Olivia.
Hi, everyone. Thank you guys, Josh and Beth, for having us. It's awesome to be here. So my name is Olivia Marie Valdez. I am from the US. I co-directed the film called The Weight of It with my two friends and amazing animators who are Einar Soler Fernandez and Sandra Afonso Rodriguez, and they are both from Barcelona. The three of us went to BAL School of Design to study stop motion last year as our master's program. And that's where we made The Weight of It. The Weight of It is a stop motion short film inspired by my grandma. My grandma had a mastectomy and a subsequent breast implant. And so she had these two very different boobs. And this character is inspired by her and how confident she was despite this. And just like the amount of strength it took to find beauty in her own body. And so that's our short film.
Sweet. Netta? Netta. Okay, cool.
Okay. Hi. So I'm Netta. I'm from Israel. My movie is the name of the movie is We Came for the Wings. We stay because we couldn't fly. And I made it from homemade prints and the paper cuts. Yes, that's it.
Cool. Yuran?
Hi, I'm Yiran, and I'm very glad to join the film festival. I'm from China, and I studied architecture in University of Melbourne, and I'm currently studying animation at KRs. And my film is Letter from Fukushima, and it's my first year film at KRs. And I combine the hand-drawn technique and 2D digital technique together to tell the story. Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
And then Ben?
Hey, how's it going? can you hear me? I'm in the car.
yeah, we can hear you all right.
Yeah. So my name is Ben, and I graduated from Chicago College in Finland in 2020. my film, my graduate, Captain Saba, a conversation I had with my 94-year-old dementic grandpa, and where he told me about his life, um, and I tried to understand what's going on in his head. So that's the film.
Nice.
Cool.
Gustav?
Hi, I'm Gustav. I'm graduated from Georges Méliès School in Orly, in France. And my movie with my four comrades is The Other Side. And it's a 3D film with a rendering in 2D style. And it's about the passage from death, from life to death, from childhood to adulthood, and that's it. That's it. Thanks.
So the first question that I had is obviously there's a lot of different inspirations for each of your films. A lot of them that we watched, like family and stuff, like personal experiences or anything like that. So what were there any inspirations like that you obviously you give us a brief description? Are there any inspirations that you took art style wise or narrative wise that you haven't spoke about that you'd like to speak about? And that's just open to everyone.
I can go. Hi.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so as I mentioned, this story was inspired by my grandma Dee and her experience with breast cancer before she passed. But as far as animation, we were really inspired by Veronica Solomon's Love Me, Fear Me, which is another stop motion that's with clay. And a technique that she uses is she's constantly moving the clay, and it's a whole choreography piece. So it just has this like beautiful movement throughout the whole entire thing. So something that we like wanted to channel in ours is just constant movement. So our puppets are made of entirely clay, with an armature on the inside and foam on the inside. But so a technique we used was constantly moving the clay, and that helped us to also cover all of our thumbprints and fingerprints. And also as we're moving the clay, sometimes it would crack, but because we're always moving the clay itself, it helped us like cover up those little mistakes. So that was an inspiration for animation style.
Nice. So we've got some questions here that people on the MA, the different students have asked. We compiled a list, and anyone who was interested in the films just added to it. For you, I've got a question here. Obviously, the film was from your experience with your family member, but there's three of you making the film. Were there any like creative differences or compromises or anything like that, or was it you all coming at it from the same point of view, or did you add different things to the process?
So Sandra, Einar, and I had actually met in this program. So before we even started this program, we did not even know each other. So coming together, we did have the fear that we were just gonna like all want different things, and we were kind of, our group was chosen. We knew each other a little bit, but not too much. And we actually chose each other for the group because we wanted to make a horror film. We wanted to make something that was like graphic and zombies and everything. But we couldn't find like a deeper meaning that actually like we each resonated with. So we, in all honesty, we had an all-nighter and we got really high one night and told each other childhood stories. And in doing so, we found that our grandparents were all super significant to each of our lives. So the character is inspired by my grandma, but the relationship and like the way that we connected with Maria, the main character, is totally inspired by each of our relationships with our grandparents. And something that Einar and Sandra brought to it is their grandparents have like a beautiful marriage story. So they're just so in love with each other. And so that's something that we also incorporated from them, is like this really nice relationship between Maria and her husband and how supportive he is in her journey. And then also something that like we all identified with is the story is not just about, you know, an old woman going through something. It's about accepting your body after a serious traumatic event. And I think, or I know that all three of us have, you know, had insecurities about our own bodies and trying to figure out how to appreciate ourselves and what we see in the mirror. So that was something that we definitely all vibed with. And we were super lucky because the three of us, I would not even say that we fought. We had a great time making this. We had so much fun. And we're actually making another film right now because we love each other.
I was kind of hoping to hear if there was any drama that was going on or any interesting stories. But
Oh,
no,
sorry.
that's fine. No drama. So Tilly, Raven, and Ben, all of your films are like very explicitly to do with family members. Obviously, as Olivia's just said, that was kind of an amalgam of different family members of all three of them, but yours is very specific people. I know Ben and Tilly, your actual like films are recordings of your family members speaking. So I just wanted to ask, like, have your family members seen the films? What did they think of the films? What was the process of working with them? Was it fun, like frustrating? And like, so this question's open to Raven, Ben, and Tilly.
I don't mind going first.
Yeah, you can go first. Yeah.
Yeah, so my film is like a conversation with my mum and my gran, and they both really enjoyed it. I think they both liked having like their star moments as being like characters in the films. And yeah, it was a really good way of kind of sitting down and hearing some stories from them that I might not have heard before, because it was inspired by I got my ears pierced, and my mum was kind of like lending me some earrings to use, and as she was going through her jewelry box, she just came out with these amazing stories, and it was just incredible to hear like the things that you can remember from years ago that are tied to like to items and pieces of jewelry. So yeah, it was really good to put it all together. I recorded the conversation with them, and it just took like an afternoon, and then I had to do a lot of cutting because there was a lot they came out with. And yeah, but it was a really nice kind of like keepsake.
I particularly like the little bit at the end. I don't know, it was like a scone break or was that it?
Yeah, scone break. That's a very like
and I was
classic,
like, I kind of want a scone now. Yeah,
it's very much
Did you have anything to say, Raven or Ben?
Okay, I'll be the next. So I did record like a lot of conversations between me and my mom. It's actually I didn't have like a very clear plan about my film, and I'm just testing it out. So it just happened occurred to one of our conversation, and my mom kind of just set me up about my kind of asked me if I like if I'm homosexual, and I don't know what I was thinking at that time, but I just say yeah. And then we there have been like a lot of arguments and a lot of heartbreak times. So I believe in the end, when I try to organize all the recording materials, and I got like at least 3 hours of them, but I only use like I guess only like a minute or less than a minute in my film. So my parents did join the screenings event, and to my surprise, just by that time, we kind of like just came to an agreement, and they accept who I am, and I feel like the most of it is just this films helps me in these family relationships larger than anything else. And it's really funny that my mom, after she watched the film, and she said, you know, I sacrificed myself for your film. And yeah, because I kind of just I use my own narrations to describe like what happened and what I think about my parents and all those personal things. The reason I choose pixelation is because when I go back to my home, try to gather materials, and I found they just keep they document like everything I have, like all the certificate, all my papers, and all the schoolwork I've done before. So I feel, you know, these are like really good materials to show who I am, and how like they how much attention they pay during my growing, and yeah, so they did sacrifice a lot for my film. Yeah.
Well, that's like an interesting connection between your two films, Tilly and Raven. Obviously, you're using that you're creating images, animated images out of like actual items that hold sentimental value or significance or something like that, which is quite interesting. Do you have anything, Ben, about, obviously yours is about your granddad, about Saba? I don't know if you can hear, honestly. I think we're just going to get to see this guy have a nice little stroll. So, can you hear me, Ben?
Did you talk to me?
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. I was supposed to be home by now, but yeah.
Yeah, don't worry about it. We were just talking about family members, and you made yours on your granddad. Did he get a chance to see the film?
Again, sorry?
Did your granddad get a chance to see the film that you made? And
oh yeah, he saw it.
what did he think of it?
But he had no idea what he's seeing, nor he understood that he's a part of it, or it's his voice. So my grandpa suffers from like a deep state of dementia. These are really the late states of the disease. He doesn't know what day it is, and sometimes he doesn't recognize even me. So he just didn't know what it is. But my grandma loved it.
Well, like I said, like yours, Tilly's and yours was both recordings of your grandparents talking, and I really enjoyed. Obviously, it's not an informal tone, but it's a very conversational tone because it's a conversation between family members, and those type of conversations lend themselves nicely to animation because it's like a stream of consciousness on some of the situations, which is quite nice.
I guess it's one of those things as well where it's like you can keep these films forever now. They do become sort of almost like family heirlooms. It's a way for you both to remember you know, your grandparents, and then later down the line obviously to your parents. And I guess, Raven, what I'm interested in is, was it difficult? I mean, this kind of answers itself, but was it difficult to revisit these conversations with your mother and like the feelings that you had in the time during the editing process? Because obviously animation's not sort of a quick editing process.
Yeah, I mean indeed, because the topic itself is not like an easy topic, especially in China, and especially when I actually recorded everything and also got the video footage, and every time I go through, and it just having that kind of feelings, is it really right to keep all those personal contact in my film, and will that actually hurt my mom's feelings? And yeah, but I mean, it's really strange that I kind of want to say that this pandemic helped me, because back in 2020, in early January, I went back to China because I want to finish the film and I need to gather some those materials, like that. But then the COVID happened, and I couldn't go back to United States, and also couldn't finish my schoolwork. So I spent like a year with my parents, especially with my mom. So we have those conversations, and it was after my coming out. So it's not like just surrounded about my sexuality. Is most likely about like my future and how she, just thinking about like how could you deal with your future if you have like all those difficulties, like you already choose like a difficult path. So I kind of like realized the anger, and it's because she is fear about what I'm going to face in the future, and also she's worried about me. And after I realized that, when I going back to those materials, and it just changed me, like it just gives me a different angle to see like what I've been through and what she was thinking about. So after that, I guess like, I mean, the editing become like really easy, and I guess it's just both me and my mom could facing this fact and our past by that time. And Yeah, and we even work on this film together. She is my camera guy, just clicking the enter and click, and I say, yeah, okay. And I said, like, click the space bar and check. No, that animation doesn't work. Well, looks good. Let's go back. So yeah, she became my assistant.
I guess this kind of as well, Yuran, it ties into yours. Obviously, Letter from Fukushima is about this event that happened, and this little boy kind of puts this drawing of where he's from in a bottle and sends it off, and it's about preserving what once was before before something happened. I think this idea of preservation is quite consistent across the films. What I really like is just it's how the using like the watercolor paintings in the that you've got as with the sort of 2D computer animation. What was it that kind of made you want to go down that alley to record the film?
Is it for real? Oh.
Oh, it's for Ira. It's for you.
Oh, it's
Yeah, it's for you. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, for your yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Like the sorry, is it traditional style or like the style preference? Or
How does the art style reflect? Is that art style something that you would use normally, or does the art style reflect the narrative in any way?
oh, first it's actually my comfort zone to hand paint.
Yeah.
So that's my art style. And secondly, I feel this is kind of touchy, and it gives the audience a hand touch feeling. Like it reminds that about the nature and like how to say that. Also, sorry, my sound sources in kind of messy.
That's fine.
So most what is most sorry, I mean, I wish to show a kind of a childlike and that kind of dreamy and romantic nature vibe before the disaster happened, and like to contrast what happened afterwards, and also to yeah, that's
I agree completely with what you're saying, because at the start, obviously, it's quite peaceful, and it is like a child, because it's obviously a child, and it is from a child's point of view. And then obviously there's a quick change, like a Volta, and then obviously the wave and stuff like that. So that that aspect of the narrative, that part of the narrative, does come out of nowhere, and for me, the art style did kind of make that quite a shock, if that makes sense.
Yes, thank you for explaining for me.
So I've got a question for Netta. A lot of the films that we've talked about so far, obviously for Uran's, it's in the name what she's talking about, and obviously Family Jewels, it's about family. Your title and your actual narrative, for me anyway, was quite abstract. So was there like a specific inspiration, or was there a story that you were trying to tell, or is it open to interpretation?
You ask the difference between the name of the movie and
so like reading the name of the movie, We Came for the Wings, We Stayed Because We Couldn't Fly, and then watching the film, it's like even the art style is quite abstract. Everything about it's abstract. So I was trying to work out how you came to make the film. Okay. Like, what's the story?
So basically the story is about grief and I don't know, a connection, or how it's to be separate, I think. And the name came from I don't know, when it's about I lost my father. So when we left just me and two sisters and my mother. And I thought, like, what's the difference between the ones, like, who is the saddest? The one who left, like my father, he's alone now. We are together. So I thought like he gets some prize. He gets the wings. He can fly, but I don't know, something like this.
Oh, I never really looked at it that way, but it's really interesting to hear that that's where it came from. And then the art style, you said, obviously, paper and paper cuts and stuff like that.
Yes.
What was the inspiration behind doing it like that, and what was the process like?
Okay. When I work on the final project, so the COVID is started, so we need to stay at home. And I did had a plan to do the animation from a silk print. And when I need to find like a solution for how I can make a print at my home. So I don't know, I start to play with the materials, and I find a way to do the prints. And to control it much better, I add the paper cuts.
The paper cuts. Did the pandemic affect anyone else's process of making the film? That's just open to anyone, if there's any specific stories or experiences that you had.
Yes, actually, sorry, you
No,
go.
go ahead. Go
You
for
can
it.
have you run then, Olivia, if you want.
Actually, I got more time making the film. It was it should be finished in 2019, I think. But after the pandemic, I got an extra year to do it, which is a relief for me. Yes.
Yeah.
I got many pressure making the film at the start because it's a really hard topic. It's quite heavy, so I was having some mental difficulties for it. And
Right.
afterwards, I talked to many friends and got better and made it finally. Yeah. Thank you.
And you, Olivia?
So I wanted to say something. It's kind of like more of a general comment, but it's nice to hear that the pandemic, I think, has made at least this group of filmmakers kind of go within our families. That's pretty interesting to me that we all kind of like had this moment to reflect, because when we were making, like I said, we all got together and talked about our childhood, and I don't think me and my co-directors would have had such a connection if it wasn't pandemic, because we've all lost so many elderly people in our families in these last couple years, and I think it's forced us to really value the stories that they have, the lives that they're living, and that they're constantly like, even old people are learning and having lives. But anyway, so it's nice to hear you all talk about your families, and I think maybe you guys had a similar kind of reflection as we did.
Well, this is what I kind of said when I was publicizing the festival, is that obviously we've got a lot of filmmakers from different countries telling different stories, but there's a lot of through lines between all of them because of shared experiences in the past few years globally, which is one of the first times where you can see like global issues being put to film all over the world, and everyone's in, like you said, the same boat. Quite reflective. It's a good reflective time as well because you're spending a lot of time on your own. I was just like to ask Gustav, what was the inspiration behind making your film? Was it a reflective thing? Was there a message that you wanted to make with your short film?
Yeah, so the inspiration was the Mexican culture, the El Día de los Muertos, the day of dead people. So yeah, we want to show another vision of the death, and so with color, light, and we wanted to talk about the family, the links of the family, and how a little girl have to take the life of his brother in her hands. So she have to take a decision and die with all the family and keep the family together, like the mother want to, or save his brother's life and her too. So yeah, it's about a passage, like I said.
Nice. Well, I actually have to personally thank you for submitting your film, because I actually think it's really beautiful looking, and it was very, very helpful in making. I'm not saying none of the rest of your films are beautiful, but it was very, very good for making the trailer. Very, like, a lot of cinematic moments, the lightning, obviously the part where the mother wants to go with the father and the children are running away. They were really great scenes for me to kind of piece together the trailer. If anyone wants to see the trailer, I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet, but I personally think it's quite good and it makes your films look quite nice. So if you want to give it a look, we can send you the link. Beth, I thought it'd be quite nice if because obviously we've got a document of questions that students have submitted. Do you want to, Beth, do you want to pick a question from like each film and just ask them one of the ones that we've been submitted? Because I kind of don't want to, for everyone's hard work creating these questions to go to waste. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I do have one here. It's a more broad question for all of you. I think it's a comment on how, I guess, the filmmaking style, the cinematography of animation is, you know, marginally different from what we get for the fiction and documentaries, because obviously you're working with drawing, stop motion, that sort of thing. Do you think that it gave you more freedom to experiment than, considering, you know, we are talking about student films and there is budget limitations? Do you think you were able to kind of achieve more through doing an animation than you would if you were doing, say, you know, a documentary or a fiction film? That's open to anyone.
Yeah, I think animation gives you the power to be anywhere, anytime, with very low budget. All you need is like, not very low budget. My Cintiq, my tablet is quite expensive. But other than that, you're all good. You can send your characters to space and back in time and into their heads. And I think that's one of the many benefits of animation, storytelling in the medium of animation.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I mean, don't tell the other strands of the films on the film festival, but the animations, for me personally, are quite different levels apart, because they show so much. And for me, like I instantly, because we picked different groups to program the festival, and I immediately really wanted to do animation, and I really wanted to make the trailer, because all of the things that you do in all of your films, to me, were just so crazy, like so like imaginative. Does anyone else have an answer for the question?
Yeah, so I love animation so much because I feel like as a director you can guide the audience a little bit more in what you want them to feel. Like, a conversation is not just a conversation anymore, it's a conversation from your perspective, and you get to kind of like play with what the viewer sees and gives you that emotion of what you're like, of what you as the director or writer or whatever feels when you were imagining that moment. So you're not like confined by reality.
Yeah. If no one else has got an answer to that question, does anyone want to say anything?
Yes, the animation movie permit to the narrator to put a distance with the reality, and it's helping to speak about no. For the spectator, it's easily to, I don't know how to tell it.
Speak about difficult subjects, like death and stuff like that, right? Is that what you're trying to say?
Sorry, there is a truck, so.
Okay, so I'm just going to go through some specific questions for specific filmmakers that we've had submitted. I've got a question from Freya to Netta, if Netta's still there. She can speak. If not, I can move on to someone else. Well, maybe not. All right. Beth, do you have any specific questions that have been submitted that you think?
Yeah. So I've got one here from. Let's see. I've got one here from Laura Tilly. So what was it? You've sort of talked briefly about like how obviously your mother and grandmother were involved in the film. What did they actually think of it? Did they have like a moment of being like, oh, I'm in a film, this is really fun? Or were they a bit like, what have you done here? What's this about?
I think my mum, she was always very much like, I'm a star, I can't wait to see this, I'm like gonna show all my friends. She was really excited about it. And I think my gran was a bit more emotional about it. They were both very keen to be a part of it. So there was nothing like, oh, what have you done? Like you've like exposed our family to the world or anything like that. But yeah, they both had kind of different reactions to it. Gran looked at it in a bit more of like a tender way, and I think my mum did as well, but she was just kind of more excited to see her stories and to her voice, and then to be able to share that with people. Yeah.
Nice. I've got a question for Raven, and this was actually written by you, Beth, as well.
Yeah.
How important was it for you to share this story? Was it important for you? Was it I don't want to say therapeutic, but therapeutic. Was there any? How important was it for you to actually share this, or do you reckon it could have that other people watching it that can help their own experiences?
I mean, to me, it's definitely really important. It's just like a stage of my life, and I would say this film is like it just like a perfect ending for my stage, you know, just in the school, and now I'm finishing the school, and I finished this film to just having those conversations with my mom, and also the secret I've hid for like at least like 5 to 6 years, and now it comes to an end, and we can talk about this like just like a regular conversation. So this is the meaning personally to my this film that brings to me. But I mean, I didn't really think about like when the film screened to other people, what kind of feedback I could get, and if my film could help them, and or anything else like that. But when first is when I had the graduate screening, it was still on the YouTube, and I just see all those messages popping up on the side column, and I see people were saying like this is a powerful film and this really helps them, and even one mentioned that her mom was sitting next to her and her mom is just crying, and then I sent out my film to other festivals. I believe there is like 2 festivals in China, and I just got connections to the group in my own country. One is in Beijing and the other one is in Chengdu. And this brought me to, just thinking about, this film actually weight something. And it's really good to know that they are some people had watched my film. And I mean, because the pandemic, so I didn't attend any of the festivals, so I couldn't get like the message, the feedback from them. But it's always good to see like my film. There is a certain group of people there to watch my film and could get some energy from my film. I don't know whether they would doing anything after that. Maybe they would talk to their parents, or maybe they would talk my film to their supporting group. But I mean, this definitely means a lot to me. Yeah.
Nice.
Actually, interesting. I showed it to my friend like a week ago, who isn't part of the course, doesn't study film, and she just cried. At the end of it, she just cried for like a good 5 minutes.
Oh my god!
There's
Thank you.
Back for you. In a good way. It was a good cry.
Thank you so much.
I've got a question here for Olivia from Kieran. and it looks to here like Kieran has done a lot of research, so you might have a super fan. It's all three of you worked or trained in other creative industries, and it seems like there were no plans for your career paths to progress into animation. What were the personal and professional inspirations that led you three into careers in animation and creating this film?
I mean, Kieran's exactly right. All three of us came from something totally different. So before I got my master's in stop motion, I was actually working in sales. I was working in film sales and photo sales and just a bunch of different art sales. And then Sandra, she's a trained painter and illustrator. And Einar is a 3D animator, but both of them have been working professionally as Sandra was working in marketing and PR, and Einar was just having odd jobs here and there. But I think all of us kind of like were struck at the same time with just like, why are we wasting our times with these professions that we really don't enjoy? And I can't speak too much to their personal experiences, but for me, it was February of 2020, right before pandemic. I had just gone through a terrible breakup. I realized that I hated my job, and I found a stop motion school in Spain and just applied and got in. And so I had taken a stop motion class like back in college and absolutely loved it, but was not convinced that I could make a career out of it. But after being so miserable and like other things, I was like, I might as well follow my passion and see if I can actually do it. So yeah, so, you know, flash forward, we got together, and I think our past experiences helped us approach stop motion a little more like, at least for me, it helped me approach it a little more professionally so that I can continue to do this as a career. But otherwise, I mean, I'm so happy to be doing stop motion, and I'm not looking back. There's nothing else I'm going to do from here on out, and same with them. So.
Great, that's nice to hear. If Netta's not back, yeah, we can.
I've got another question here. I've got one for, let me see. Yes, so for Gustav, what lessons did you learn while you were making The Other Side, when you were exploring the themes of violence and migration in your film?
We doesn't work a lot of immigration. It's more a pretext for our movie to talk about family and passage, and yeah, so we doesn't work a lot of the on that part of the movie. It's just the beginning, you know. To put the characters in a situation, and to make more important the choice of Anna, the little girl in the movie. So that's it.
Oh.
I've got a question for Ben. And I actually wrote this one because I picked your film to do. Obviously, the focus of the film is on your grandfather, but it is also self-reflective at the same time, because obviously at the end, Catch the Lemon, your haircut changes to be like your grandfather's, which was a nice touch. To what extent was it quite self-reflective, and how did making the film and listening to your granddad's stories, like, did that teach you anything?
Yeah, so my question when I started working on the film, like I wanted to kind of explore death. Yeah, like, and I went straight to the source. Like, my grandfather is the closest person I know to this day, and I wanted to know like what he's thinking right before that moment, right before the light gets off, you know. And I think it took me to quite a journey that for sure affected me and reflected back to me for sure, and to my family also. To hear my grandfather speak about like how he worked like a jackass all his life and now is going to die. I mean, that's a harsh one. But later on, listening to him speaking about the power of the family in his life, I mean, that's something that had a huge effect in my family in regard to how we deal with his situation, which is not simple, and also each one of us with his own situation, if it makes sense. Sorry, I took it a bit far. So the short answer is yes, it totally reflected me for sure. When you do something so personal with someone you love, I mean that I heard the other filmmakers speak about it as well. It's gotta it's gotta reflect back. Yeah.
So we actually have just got some information over that. Since we opened the festival on Friday the 1st, we've had over 1,000 hits a day on the website where your films are, and today we've actually had over 2,000. So we've got a question here from Alicia on YouTube, who wants to know, how does it feel knowing that your films have been watched by so many people and being able to connect with your films? Are you going to go and brag to your friends and family about how many people are watching them? Open to anyone, go ahead.
Hell yeah, I'm gonna brag. That's so cool.
Anyone else? Well, I've kind of got another question that leads on from this that's open to everyone as well. What would it mean for you to win? This is obviously, it's a prestigious award amongst film festivals, the LJMU Student Film Festival. Obviously there's a lot of prestige that comes with winning. What would winning the animation or the audience award mean for you and your career also, because it could really skyrocket things for you?
Yeah, we're TIFF level.
Quit my day job.
Yeah.
For sure.
For sure. If you win also, you get flights paid, hotels paid to come out here and accept the award.
That's a
obviously,
lie.
obviously, I don't think you do. I'm not
don't
paying.
hold them to that.
But
you do get a very.
That would be nice in an ideal world.
You do get a paper bird.
We'll send it by post. Yeah,
yeah.
we can. Well, we'll just throw it across. We'll just go to the
Make
post
it
and throw
fly.
it. Yeah. I've got a question for Iran, back from Shannon. What effect did you wish to have on the audience from this film? And also, because we were talking with Ben about kind of how personal it was there a specific effect you wanted to make on the audience? And also, was there obviously it's about this big event, was there any level of it being personable to you?
Excuse me, I didn't hear the first question.
The first question was there any emotions or anything you wanted to evoke from the audience by creating the film, or a message? Or did you just want it to just look pretty?
Well, I made the film because I feel there's little bit little attention to this event happening, and I live near a coastal city, and I care about the ocean environment. And I feel my intent to create this film is to raise attention and make more people care about the environmental issues and how to give solutions to it.
Nice. Do you have any more questions, Beth, that you want to ask?
Yeah, I've got a question here from Luke. He's asking, there's been a bit of discussion lately around the form of animation. I know some comments were made during the Oscars, around the Oscars, about animation, when people think of animation, they think it's only for kids and only for telling stories to children, but actually it's quite a heartfelt medium. A lot of work, a lot of hours, a lot of people's jobs go into making animated films. And so Luke's basically just asking, what are your thoughts on the discourse that's happening around this? Because obviously you're the next generation of animators going into the workforce.
I actually have this discussion with my friend from CalArts just yesterday. So we got really pissed off with that kind of thing, saying, I mean the new Oscar definitely, they I think they didn't show the ceremonies of the best short animation. So I mean, even my friends and all the others around me, they have this kind of thinking that animation is only for kids, and I believe this is also some big studios that they are branding. Like each year, they're having those G-rated animations because they want to get more boxing. They want the family bring their kids, so they got like 3 tickets. But I mean, if you dig into the animation and you realize animation is always like experiment all kind of techniques, like not saying like the pixelation, all the stuff. And I mean, it definitely inspired people with, you know, special effects and all those, you know, the editing techniques and how you bring those colors and vibrations. And also I mean, I'm doing stop motion, and you can see that a lot of stop motion films are are trying to having those like really deep topics, and the way that, you know, when you bring clays and all the materials, like different materials, and when you're talking about like a horror movies, I mean, there is a new series on Netflix called The House, which got like 3 episodes, and you can see it's definitely not for kids. It got like a bugs all over the place. And even like as an adult, I see those things, I was like, oh my God, what happened? And if you look back in the past 50 years, and animation could talk about all kinds of topics, and there are things about law, and human societies. I remember there is one stop motion film called Neighbors, and it was just like a real person pixelation, and the story is simple. It's just 2 neighbors trying to fight against their yard because they also want to they all want to get the flowers. But in the end, you could see there is like several lines just saying in different languages, like you need to be nice to your neighbors, which actually is a refer to the war happening around the world. So I mean, thinking about like animation is only for kids, I guess they only watch, okay, this might be offensive, but I guess their kids only watch Disney movies. So yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned The House on Netflix. Another Netflix series that I watched that I really liked, which is animation and quite adult animation, was Love, Death and Robots. Did anyone at all get a chance to see that? Yeah, I love that. I love that. I love that show, and that's the reason that I was so into being part of the animation strand, was literally because I watched that, and it was an anthology of, I think it was actually 18 films, and we've got 18 on this as well. So I was just like, that's a really cool little thing. I've actually got, I don't know if it'll come up. I've got a little T-shirt with, wait, will it come up? Got a background on.
Oh, okay.
Wait, I've got a T-shirt with the little woman on from Thingy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Just a second. There you go. You can see it. You can see it. Yeah, I love that show. So that's why the working on the animation has been so fun. Has there been any stuff like that you've seen in media, like Love, Death and Robots, The House, that has given you any inspiration for this project or future projects or anything like that? That's open to everyone.
What was the question?
Anything that you've seen, like like I said, Love, Death and Robots, The House, that has given you inspiration for this project or future projects, like how you would maybe explore different types of animation or anything like that?
Yeah, So, I mean, I could like talk about this forever and for days, but I'll stick to one topic. So, there is a director called Robert Morgan. He's a stop motion director. He's been around for a while, and he has like all this like gross, nasty, crazy body horror, grotesque stuff. And I think like I love it because like we're talking about, a lot of people think of animation and they consider it to be a children's thing, and I like his work because it's very much not for children. And anyway, so I'm very inspired by that, and I'm going to make a horror movie on my next film. I'm currently doing it now, and
Nice.
I'm very inspired by him.
Well, you need to submit it to the next LJMU Film Festival so we can watch it there as well.
Oh, I will. Be on the lookout.
Yeah. You can be alumni, yeah. Have you got any more questions, Beth?
No, I think that's a good place to wrap it up.
Well, I was just gonna say, obviously, just before we end, obviously it's nice meeting you all and hopefully meeting each other. If any of you had any questions for each other at all before we ended this, that would be nice. But if not, no worries. We can wrap it up.
Mm-hmm. And also, if you want to drop your social media links in the little chat box we've got as well. We've got some people watching on YouTube as well. If you want to pop it over there, get them to follow you, increase your audience. But I mean, 2,000 hits today, guys.
and check out the trailer that I made because I put loads of effort in.
Josh, put the link in the chat when we're done.
Yeah, easy.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming today, guys.
Nice one. Do we end this ourselves or what do we do?
Hi. Well, I will interfere then to say, well, thank you very much for joining us indeed.
Well, that was like a jump scare.
I am just suddenly coming out like, yes, thank you so much. I just wanted to say that the trailers and the awards will be shown on Wednesday at our awards ceremony online, which will be live streamed from 4:30 UK time. Filmmakers will join us a bit earlier, but anybody, friends, family, viewers can join us to see who indeed has won the Paper Bird Award in each category. That's one thing I want to stress. And also do not forget filmmakers and viewers that we have the Audience Award. So people can vote until 2 p.m. on Friday, 2 p.m. UK time on Friday. So go vote because that is the fourth award that we'll give by the end of the festival. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you all.
And make sure you watch each other's films too. They're all great. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Cool.
Crazy.
Are we still live, Jackie?
I don't know.
Hopefully. Hello, everyone on YouTube.
This would be some really good footage for people watching.
I don't know if we're live anyway.